everybody. Welcome to Friday Night Chats with Kevin.
And I'm Kelly, and this is your Saturday, August 7th edition of Friday Night Chats.
Yes. So we made an episode. It would have been out late, but on time, later in the evening, but on time. Normally we try to record on Thursdays. That didn't happen. And then, so we recorded after I got off work. I thought we made a solid episode. But when we tried to put it up on the YouTube people said, nay.
No.
And we'll get into that a little bit more when we get to the second part of the show. But
we got blocked worldwide. That's what it said.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
So we're recording new today, and hopefully we won't run into any worldwide blockages from the folks at the YouTube.
Yeah,
so
we're gonna try it again and see what happens.
Yep.
Let YouTube keep blocking us.
Yeah, because we'll just Facebook Live it from then on, I guess. Either way, we just want you to know, you folks know what's going on, have a little fun, and hopefully you guys are enjoying it. Seem to be. So yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah. So here we are on Saturday. It's pouring down rain outside.
Yep.
Kevin just got off work. I've been watching the Olympics.
Yep.
For much of the day today.
Yeah. U.S. women's team kicking ass in the winning gold in water polo.
And the equestrians took silver.
Yeah.
I know Bruce Springsteen's daughter rides a horse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, they took silver in the team competition.
Awesome.
And then I watched some swimming, synchronized swimming or artistic swimming, whatever they call it now.
Yeah. Which is interesting to watch, you know. It's difficult for them to do those stunts, I'm sure, but it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So the Olympics are going well.
Yeah, it should be just about done.
I thought beach volleyball was over, but the men are still playing.
Yeah.
The women won the gold for the beach volleyball, but
Woo-hoo.
The men are playing today. So it's the sport that never ends.
Yeah.
It goes on and on and on and on and on forever.
Well, they got beaches everywhere, I
guess. Do they? No, they don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, what do landlocked countries play beach volleyball on?
Well, I'm sure they got like rivers and shit.
Maybe.
In my country, all of our rivers have rock beds. we do rock bed volleyball.
So there's that. It's been a quiet week around the house here.
Yeah.
Not really much going on.
Yeah, your mom's been watching between Olympics. She has also gotten into
The Rain.
The Rain, which is a CW show based off of Mary, Queen of Scots, which, you know,
somewhat interesting. Actually.
Somewhat interesting. You seem to like it. It's a kind of a little bit like A Knight's Tale, if you remember A Knight's Tale with Heath Ledger. It's probably not the most historically accurate depiction, but they do a lot more in the way of like contemporary music and the talking or the what do they call it?
The language is
not
as you know
old school.
Yeah, English or whatever.
So it's probably not like accurate to the period, but you know,
it's watchable.
Yeah, it's CW. They're kind of bringing it down to the modern audience. Yeah. I guess.
So since there's not really much going on at home and the world outside seems like COVID is making a comeback in the news, and not happy to see that.
Nope, no one is.
No one is. So all of the masking, and if you have to be masked indoors, that's all starting to ramp up again. And I figure, you know what, just wear your mask and let's just be done with it.
Yeah.
Just wear a mask when you go out.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it, but
you know,
at the same time, I mean, there's got to get to a point where, like, if a lot of people are vaccinated, because the people that are vaccinated, they still get sick, but the hospitalization and death rates for vaccinated people are extremely low. At some point, you got to just say, hey, you know what? It's on you whether or not you get the vaccine. It's free. It's available.
But what I'm saying is,
it's not hard to get at all. Apparently, even if you're waiting on FDA approval, that's supposedly coming within a couple of weeks, which is kind of a miracle too, because most of the time you got to wait a full year for FDA approval. So,
hello, it's almost been a full year.
Has it really, since it was released?
They started giving vaccinations in November.
Oh shit!
Last year, so it'll be just under a year.
Wow.
But it's not just being vaccinated anymore, because vaccinated people are contracting it. And yes, they're much better off themselves personally, but they're finding spread it to people who are unvaccinated. And not every unvaccinated person is staying unvaccinated because they don't want to receive a vaccine or because they're an anti-vaxxer.
Right.
There are a lot of people who are not vaccinated for health reasons. They can't be vaccinated.
And I get that. But I'm just, at the same time, there has to be a point where you can't,
we'll get there.
Life's got to continue on.
Life is continuing on. How is you wearing a mask when you walk into a grocery store, life not continuing on?
Well, it's just one of those things.
It's an inconvenience. It's uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But your life hasn't come to a stop.
Right. But I mean, the thing is, it's just a question of whether or not they have the ability to force that on you. Now, I contend that if you're an owner of a business and you say, I want people to wear masks when they come in, that's perfectly within your right. Your competition may not do that. And then, you guys hash it out business wise. Like, oh, I'm going to take my business to where I'm going to be in a mask so I feel safer, or I'm going to go to this other place where I don't have to put the face diaper on and blah blah. I'm just using that as I'm devil's advocate here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, in any circumstance, the government should be mandating anything really. Anytime they mandate things, it's usually a hindrance to people, not a help.
So, what about the places that aren't businesses? For example, the schools. Who has to step in and say this is what the schools are going to do?
Yeah. Well, the schools. The thing about the schools is that even though it is a government entity, it's still it's still a business. Now, it's a business owned and operated by the government, but
a business, Kevin. It is not a business.
But if the government says, "I want people in the school, if you're going to use this facility, then you have to wear masks," it's the same as if they were owned by a private entity. So if the school board says,
so you think each individual school should decide, or each individual school board?
The school board should decide.
So can I tell you my opinion on that?
Sure.
I have watched many school board meetings in the last year.
They're ridiculous.
And I had to stop because they spent so much time.
Mm-hmm.
Not only because they have to listen to the people have to have a voice in these meetings. You don't want to ever turn it off and say, we don't want to hear what the parents and the students and the community has to say.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to give people the right to speak up. But it's been getting so ugly that it's like and it's taking so much time away from what the school board really should be dealing with.
Yeah.
I almost wish the governor would just say schools have to wear masks, take it off the board, off the individual school board's decision, because they have more important things they need to be worrying about. You are never going to get a community, especially where we live, come to an agreement on it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have to go to work and listen to not only maybe staff that I work with, but parents of students that I have bitching to me constantly about having to put a mask on.
Yeah.
I want to go in there and I want to do my job. If I have to do my job in a mask, which I work with children who are too young to be vaccinated, and more young people are getting COVID.
Right.
I mean, we're starting to see teenage deaths from COVID more and more. So I can't go in there without a mask because all of my students are unvaccinated, not by choice, but they're just not old enough to get the vaccine.
Yeah.
So, and then to ask you to show your vaccine card, I have a problem with that too.
Yeah. Papers. Give us your papers.
Yeah. I mean, can we just lay a blanket statement, especially in places like schools? I agree with you on the business thing.
Mm-hmm.
If I walk into Michael's and they are requiring me to wear a mask to go in there, I'm certainly not going to scream and yell at the person working at Michael's about wearing a mask.
No.
There are people who will do that.
Yeah.
I feel like I was reading a story about New York City, looking into requiring vaccines. in order to be able to go into restaurants and entertainment venues and things like that. And people say, well, you have the choice to be vaccinated. Some people don't have that choice. And I get it. It's like a restaurant. You don't have to go to dinner, anywhere in New York City, I guess. If you're unvaccinated, wait.
Go ahead.
But now you just made me lose my train of thought. Why would you do that?
Well, I was just going to say, interesting thing about that is that in New York, most people that aren't getting vaccinated are African American people because they have a lack of trust in the vaccination process.
I completely get that.
So they're actually encouraging discrimination against. So there's that.
Right. I had such a good point that you just.
I know. I'm sorry.
You interrupted me, and now I can't remember what I was going to say.
Wow. I'm a horrible person.
I don't know. You need to sit up because look.
Okay.
Now you're not even in.
All right. I'm back.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to. I just won't talk about it.
Okay.
What?
All right.
This is what happens when Kevin and I don't agree on something. When I'm stating my opinion, he always hits me back with the same arguments, until I have to stop because I'm not getting anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Or I'm not getting anywhere.
Yeah, but you don't care.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
Because nothing that we decide is going to matter. Because we're not in the process at all. Not even a little bit. Our decision in this matter is zero. It matters to nobody. I mean, our audience is probably curious as to what our opinions are, and we appreciate you. But as far as, does your opinion actually mean a single shit to the people that are actually making the decision? Zero. They don't care at all.
I do see a difference between the government mandating vaccinations and businesses mandating vaccinations.
Right. There is.
I don't think the government has any business mandating vaccines. I don't. Because everyone has their choice over what to do with their body, and you have to respect other people's choices.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, this is what I was going to say to you about. Now, don't say a word, okay? When you require vaccines for people to go into restaurants and bowling alleys and movie theaters and concert venues and those things,
right?
As a city, if your government is stepping in and requiring that, all you are doing is putting the employees of those businesses in between people who will gladly show their vaccine passport and people who, A, have been vaccinated but don't feel like they should have to show papers that they've been vaccinated,
right.
Or B, people who are choosing not to get vaccinated. So you're going to have some 20-something-year-old kids standing at the door being berated constantly by people who don't agree with that policy.
Yeah.
So I think that as a business, you have the right to make that decision. If your employees, there are businesses now saying you have to be vaccinated or else you'll be let go, or you have to be tested every week. That's what they're coming out with in Virginia. They're
for the school
state employees. No, I don't think it's. I don't think teachers fall into a state employee category.
Yeah.
But state employees in Virginia either have to be vaccinated or they get tested once a week. You have a choice.
Yeah.
So if you choose not to get vaccinated, or you're waiting for FDA approval on the vaccine to get vaccinated, or you can't get vaccinated for health reasons, then you get tested every week. So there's a choice there. Just to throw it down and say, no, if you're not vaccinated, you can't come in. I don't think the government has.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's a good idea for
it's
the
absolutely
government to
not a good
that.
idea.
So, but businesses, that's different.
Yeah. I mean, if you own a
you
business,
agree to work for a place that's requiring a vaccine.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, no one's forcing you to work anywhere.
Yeah.
So come to Virginia. There's places all over here looking for work. Can't find people to work in Virginia. Places closing down left and right because no one wants to go to work.
Yeah. One of our favorite restaurants for breakfast, a place called Mary's, they shut down because they couldn't get any help. Place has been open since your mom was a kid.
Yeah, I mean, like one of our favorite restaurants open 7 a.m. for breakfast every morning. Now they don't open until 10, or they're not open as late on certain nights just because they can't get people to work.
Yeah.
And at first I kind of got it because I was like, if you're making more on unemployment, you have to feed your family. I get it. Yeah. But now,
well, the unemployment doesn't end until September. Yeah, and they'll probably extend it even more because they'll be like, oh, we got to extend it more because it's free votes. Well, not free votes, but it's a good way to buy a vote. That's why they.
I don't get it, but thankfully I have stayed steadily employed through this whole thing.
Me too.
So
me too.
I guess I can't speak to that, but anyway, that's really all that's been.
Yeah, that's what's going on in the world.
Yeah. Oh, I did find a little cartoon. I'm gonna put it in here. So while we're talking right now, I'll drop it in so people can see it.
All right.
Things that are coming back that people really, 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 really don't want to see make a comeback. So I'm gonna drop that in. You'll see it right there in just momentarily. If it's not already there, it'll be right there.
There we go.
All right, so we'll move on to our second segment.
We also wanted to talk about a quick thing because it was kind of funny when we got banned. Somebody had made a funny joke about you guys shouldn't have mentioned Disney in your podcast, and we did actually talk about the Disney company and Scarlett Johansson.
And here we are doing it again.
So I'm just going to do it real quick, just to test to see if this is the deal, because we're not going to do. We'll still do our TikTok at the end of the thing, but we're just trying to see if we're going to get banned again. But Disney or Scarlett Johansson is suing Disney because she was a producer on Black Widow. Like, she wasn't just an actor; she was one of the producers. And her deal was that aside from her salary, she'd also get a cut of the box office. Now, of course, the movie was delayed. The pandemic, it got pushed back like 2 years. And when it finally released, Disney put it on in theaters.
They're streaming
but they're also doing Disney Plus Premium, which you have to pay.
The name of it. Probably shouldn't have said the name.
Yeah, well, they put it on their streaming premium service, because with their premium service, you pay a bit more so you can watch first run movies. I don't pay for that, but yeah. But anyway, so Scarlett said, no, you should just release it in the theaters, and because now you're cutting into my business. And she's suing them. Now,
but they did release it into theaters.
They did.
So how would that have made a difference? More people would have gone to a theater, she thinks?
That's the idea.
I don't know. People aren't going to go to theaters during a COVID.
Yeah.
They would have gone to the theater anyway.
Yeah. And they probably would have even waited for the movie. I mean, if you're paying that much extra for Disney Plus Premium, you're paying it so that you don't have to go to the theater. So these people wouldn't have gone to the theater anyway, and they would have just waited for it to come out when it would have released on DVD or whatever. It had been finally after a couple months. Because like when Wonder Woman 84 came out, Wonder Woman 1984 came out, that just exclusively got released on HBO Max. If you wanted HBO Max, you signed up for it through your cable provider, or you paid them directly. You can get HBO Max directly from HBO. No one bitched about it. They were like, okay. And HBO got a lot of viewership out of it. And they started releasing movies instead of, in theaters. They would just release it to HBO Max. And the first one they did theaters and HBO Max was Godzilla vs. Kong. And, it's worked out. No one sued anybody over it or whatever. But Scarlett's like, no, you're costing me money. So what do you think? Do you think she's got a legit suit or no?
She signed a contract.
She signed a contract, yeah.
Granted, she signed it pre-COVID.
Yeah, the paradigm changed.
I mean, there was no in any kind of imagination anybody would have had that a Marvel movie would have gone straight to streaming.
Yeah.
Before that. So
yeah.
She signed a contract. She made millions, I'm sure, regardless.
Yeah.
So I think that she just has to say, oh, that sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to sue for? Parts of the Disney Plus Premium? How do you know how many? I mean, how do you figure out how much of that you get?
I would imagine they know, like, how many people viewed it.
Yeah, but if they do that, they're going to have to do that with every single person, every single actor from this point forward.
I think that's probably why she's suing, so that
Maybe
the actors can get the cut of that as well.
Well, they just don't sign a contract unless it's in there from now on.
Well, that'll force studios to just do straight salaries, which for the most part they do. But like the other thing I was watching the movies that made us, and they did Gump, Forrest Gump. Tom Hanks took a pay cut to do the movie because he wanted to do the movie right. So him and Robert Zemeckis, the director, both took a pay cut, but they had it in that they would take a bigger share of the box office. And the studio was like, "Sure, you're making a crazy movie that was probably not going to do, but so well, great." Which of course they've screwed up because it became one of the biggest box office hits of all time. It's like really in the top 10 for box office. So
it'll all sort itself out. I mean, sooner or later the theaters will be back open to capacity. I mean,
I hope so. I like going to the theater.
Yeah,
I know
I've never been much of a theater fan to begin with. I don't want to spend $50 to see a movie I'm half interested in.
Yeah. Well, my aunt kind of used the movie theater as a babysitter for me and my cousin when I stayed up there in the summers, and I used to take my niece and nephew to the movies like almost every week. So it's like a thing for me.
I get it.
So I love the theater, but I get not going now, and I know that I'm going to be subject to, having to watch these things on streaming, which means when they release Spider-Man, we might have to bump up that that Disney Plus. We'll see.
It's probably still cheaper than if you went to every single movie that came out.
True that, probably.
Because you buy your tickets, there's $30 right there.
Yeah, cheap.
And then unless you go in and you don't, $30 minimum is what you're going to spend. So what's the tier for?
I don't know. I think okay.
So if you go to one movie a month, it would probably pay for itself just to get the premium.
Probably, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the premium is, but there's only so many movies that Disney's going to crank out that I really want to see. So I'm not that worried about it.
Okay. We'll see. We'll make that decision when Spider-Man comes out.
Yeah. Well, that's not coming out until I think August. Or not August, but I'm not sure when it comes. It's supposed to come out by the end of the year. But they haven't even put a trailer out, so it's a whole big mess.
Yeah, they're holding up the Ghostbusters one.
Yeah.
And they're holding up Top Gun because that was supposed to be coming out soon, right before the pandemic, and haven't heard anything about that.
I really want to see the Ghostbusters one.
The previews I was seeing before the pandemic looked really good.
Yeah, and the new one they just put out after the pandemic.
But I'd be okay to watch it on my big screen TV at home.
Yeah, that's probably going to end up on HBO. So I think I don't know who owns Ghostbusters.
I have movie theater anxiety on a good day.
Yeah,
so I know. I don't feel like I'm missing much, but
yeah.
All right, so let Kevin know what you think about Scarlett Johansson, if she's right or wrong on the whole suing thing.
Yeah,
he really wants to know.
I do want to know what you think.
What do you think?
I think she doesn't have a legit case. I think Disney did what they had to do. The world has changed, and Disney. Now she probably could have renegotiated so that she.
Maybe she tried to, and they wouldn't. That's why she.
That's true. It's Disney, so Disney is the big bully in this.
Okay.
But you can be a big bully, but big bullies sometimes are right. Sorry.
Sometimes.
Might not like how they do it, but they are right.
All right. So our top 5 this week, probably the reason why our video got blocked this week was we talked about our top 5 comedians, and we did put little clips in there of some of their funnier moments. We'll just leave the clips out. We'll talk about them anyway.
Yep.
When we come back. So sorry guys, if you really want to see them, they're all on YouTube.
Yep.
And TikTok.
All right.
So we'll be back with our combined top 5 comedians.
All right. And we're back.
Top 5.
Top 5.
Top 10. Top 5.
Top 5. Just one top 5 this week. We largely agree on these, and it's kind of more of like a family thing. particularly with our number one, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. But
there's so many comedians, it was really hard to narrow it down. And they're funny for different reasons. Like some are clean and funny, some are just riddled with language and funny. And, you know, it was hard to decide. It wasn't hard to decide who our top one was.
Yeah,
but
number one
moving down the line, there are a couple where Kevin and I just didn't really agree on who was next. And so we'll share that. But our number five comedian, and really he only made this list because of one stand-up bit we've seen him do.
Sal Volcano, who's one of the Impractical Jokers, Tenderloins from Impractical Jokers, Prince Herb. He had a podcast that he did with Q for a while called What Say You? And in episode 19, they had just had a snowstorm. He just started doing stand-up around the same time. And he got trapped in a snowstorm. Ended up he had a package that stayed in his house for over a week. It was addressed to a woman, but had his address on it. So he wanted to trying to figure out what to do. He decides to open up the case. It's a pair of size 6 petite women's pants, and it had an email address. So he says, "I'm trapped in the house. Wouldn't it be funny?" And it goes into this bit where he basically holds these pants hostage. He makes a hostage note. It's just crazy shit. That he
legitly cuts magazines apart and makes a ransom note. And I've seen pictures of the actual ransom note.
The ransom note's crazy. It's like 20 pages long. It took him 6 hours to make the ransom note.
And it basically was like, "I have your pants. If you ever want to see your pants again, you'll leave me, a jar of honey, Jif honey, roasted peanut butter smooth."
It's crazy.
I mean, it was just so funny. The letter was funny. And then he said he was going to send it, and he was like, "Well, I really should send a picture of the pants so she knows I have the pants. And then it would be really hilarious if I was wearing the pants when I sent them to her." So somehow he got himself into a size 6 petite pair of pants with a shirt and tie and a jacket
and a ski mask.
And he decided
he didn't want her to see her face.
He didn't want her to see his face. And sent, attached the pictures of him in the pants. Emailed it off to her using his personal email account. Yeah, not thinking he should have made a fake email or a new email.
If you're ever going to do something crazy like that, make a fake Gmail account.
I have your pants
make it so that somebody has to get a warrant to find out who you are, not salvacano@gmail.com.
So anyway, she ended up emailing him back, calling him a pervert, and she was going to call the police and all this other stuff on him, and what kind of person does this? And then he got a text from his landlord who lived downstairs from him asking if he had any packages delivered to his house, that it was his girlfriend's or something, and it accidentally got delivered to Sal. So he had to go and explain to the landlord that he had sent a ransom note to this woman for the pants. Listening to him tell that story on the podcast was one of the funniest things I've ever heard. Like, we've listened to it so many times.
We listened to it because we were talking about it. We listened to it yesterday.
Yeah, we went out last night. Funny. We just listened to it in the car. And you just have to, you have to be fans of theirs, I guess. You have to understand their relationship and all. But so he makes our list at number 5 just
for that bit.
But, some of the other stand-up stuff. I watched one of their specials on stage today, and these are just so funny on stage.
Those guys are great. We throw their lines around anyway, but I have your pants is like one of those ones.
No list of comedians is going to be complete for us without the Impractical Jokers somewhere in there on the list. You all know this about us.
Yeah. But get on your podcast streaming, whatever you use to stream, look for What Say You, and it's episode 19, and you'll thank us later.
Funny.
It is funny.
All right, so our number 4 comedian, this is the one we did not agree on.
Yeah. So I always like Jim Gaffigan. He's got a particular type of delivery. He's very sarcastic. He's done some bits.
He raises his voice up to that high pitch.
Yeah. And he talks about a lot of different things. He's gotten more and more into talking about his kids, but he used to do a bunch of food stuff. particularly talking about Hot Pockets, which is hilarious. Some of his older stuff is great.
But, I like Gaffigan, but now he does a lot of stuff on CBS Sunday Morning that I just don't find that funny.
Yeah, he's not funny on CBS Sunday Morning.
So, I mean, I like his stand-up stuff, I guess. I laughed at it when we were watching it. But for me, my number 4 is Stephen Wright. Old school, awesome deadpan comedian. Just the short little one-line zingers that really make you stop and think. The story we shared yesterday was his mom, he really liked pancakes with maple syrup until his mom started putting truth serum in the maple syrup. And so when he caught on, he stopped. She said, "Do you want pancakes?" And he said, "No. I know, what you're doing.
I don't like pancakes anymore.
I don't like pancakes anymore." And she goes, "Well, do you want waffles?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'll have some waffles." Like, just the funny of not having to say anything else after that. And you can just imagine people piecing it together. Well, you're going to put the maple syrup on the waffle too. So he's so funny.
Well, I want you to tell the key story.
Oh, that's my favorite one.
Yeah, because you said it in the last thing, but
yeah,
we're gonna. I wanted to tell
this one just stuck with me, and so he said he was coming home one night and he accidentally put his car key in his front door to unlock his house, and he said, "So I just drove it around the block for a little while." And it was so funny because then I'll do that at school if I have accidentally taken my car key and tried to unlock my classroom door. It's the first thing I think, well, I'll just drive my room around for a little bit. Everybody's done that. It's just those little things that he just puts that little tilt on it that makes it so funny.
Yeah, it's good. Classic stuff. Yeah. And we don't know what he's doing now. We probably should have looked it up since yesterday.
I know, because we
talked about it, but I'm assuming he's either still out there touring or he's got a theater in Vegas somewhere. I'm imagining he's got a theater in Vegas.
I don't know. He's been around.
That's what they do. They get a theater like Garth Brooks did for a while. He just gets a theater in Vegas and makes money.
Yeah, but I mean, okay.
It's kind of like the retirement community for comedians.
The villages for comedians. Our number 3.
Number 3 was
Sebastian
Maniscalco. You watch
Maniscalco.
Yeah, I can never say his name right. But I originally saw him. Vince Vaughn had a documentary special, and I think it's on either HBO Max or some one of the streamings. But look for Vince Vaughn's Wild West comedy show, and he took 5 up and coming comedians, and he took a show on the road where they did 30 shows in 30 days. And it was a great documentary, but he was one of the young comedians. He was actually still a waiter when he got the call from Vince Vaughn. He had to quit his job to do the tour, and of course now he's not worrying about money anymore because he's like big time. He's doing like the Met and everything.
So funny,
but he's hilarious. He
facial expressions and his body movements.
Yeah, I mean, just talking about doing simple things like going to Home Depot, which was the clip that we had. Is one of the clips we had looked at. It was talking about going to Home Depot, measuring stuff.
Everybody's measuring everything.
It's hilarious. Great stuff. It's got 4 specials on Netflix. Definitely watch them.
Yeah, he's funny. All right, so our number 2 was Kevin's favorites.
Mitch Hedberg, who's no longer with us. He passed, but he did like 3 CDs or maybe 4, but I'm pretty sure it's just 3. He's just got a really good delivery, and he's kind of just eschews things that are so simple, and you just he's hilarious.
Sometimes the funniest comedy are those things that you encounter every single day, that someone just has like a little slant on it, and you laugh because it's funny. It's true. Yeah. It's funny because it's true.
Yeah, because he did this bit where he's like, it's illegal for you to stand in front of a fire exit. If you've got 2 legs and you're flammable, then you're not blocking a fire exit. So it's like, that's hilarious.
Funny. All right. And so then our number 1 comedian, this was a no-brainer for us.
Yeah.
Our number 1 comedian is John Panette, who unfortunately is also passed way before his time. But he is so funny. If you've never seen, I can't imagine if you've never seen.
He's all over YouTube.
Go to YouTube.
I think he's on either Netflix or Amazon Prime. But yeah, it's worth a watch.
I could just list the bits. There's the water park, which happens to be my favorite bit of his. the Chinese buffet.
Yeah, the Chinese buffet has gotten us in a little trouble. Gotten you in a little trouble. Because he does this bit where he talks about going to the all-you-can-eat Chinese place, and he's talking about how he was there, and the owner of the Chinese place gets up and is like, "You go now, you go now. You've been here 4 hours. You go now. You eat vegetable." He's just giving him shit and kicks him out of the restaurant because he's just eating them out of profits or whatever. So he just did this, all this hilarious bit.
It was Tilly.
Yeah.
Tilly right down there. She heard Mike come in.
Yeah.
So she's giving him fair warning that this is...
Well, we haven't had a Tilly bark on pod in a while, so that's good stuff. Anyway, years later, I mean, we still, anytime anybody says anything about being remotely 4 hours, like 4 hours. And there's Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Tilly was saying hello.
Yeah. And the whole house is your mom and dad, Mike, the whole Jennifer. So gets to a point where your dad is in the hospital. I think he had surgery or something, and can't remember why. But Jennifer was up, and I was working. I heard about all this secondhand.
His nurse was Chinese.
Yeah. So she comes in,
which I honestly didn't even.
Yeah, it's just not something you think about.
Didn't think about it.
So what happened? You good?
So Dad was asking her when he can get up and start walking around, and she said probably about 4 hours. And I immediately came back because my sister's there, and that's just, I immediately went 4 hours. And my poor dad, who was probably in pain, laughing. Jennifer's literally on the floor laughing. And this poor woman probably thought I was making fun of her. And I was the biggest racist person ever. But I literally was just repeating a John Panette line that's been a joke in our family forever. Did not even make the connection right away that she was a Chinese person. I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed.
That's great.
Everyone else thinks it's hilarious, and I was mortified. Yeah, I don't think she was very happy. And I don't blame her. It was a bitch move. But
we got to see him at the Funny Bone before he passed, of course. It was great. We got to sit at the front row. And Michael was, Michael's got a very distinct laugh. It's great to hear Michael laugh. And John Panette would come over and was like, "Yeah, you're going to like this next one, buddy." And it was great because he loved hearing Michael laugh. It was such a great day.
It was. We had so much fun. And so he, if I'm down, I just go YouTube him on Golly Day. He talks about going on vacation with his family and doing exercises and NyQuil. Oh my gosh. The
NyQuil bit was hilarious because he talks about, well, you take NyQuil, the commercials you always see them taking in bed, and there's a reason for that. Because if you take it in the bathroom, you're going to be sleeping on your cold bathroom floor. That's hilarious.
So those were our top 5 comedians. I wish we could have shared the clips with you, but we will. Maybe in the comments of our video, we'll link some things. I don't think we can get in trouble for that, can we?
I don't know. If they're YouTube links, probably not.
Okay. So we'll just send you off to those so you can watch.
Yeah. You know what? It just occurred to me.
What?
Because we saw John Panette. I've only been to the Funny Bone 3 times. It was for John Panette, for Ralphie May, and for not the Mad Hatter. What's his name?
Oh, the hypnotism guy.
Yeah, it was kind of a local.
What was his name? I don't know, but he was a comedian. He would hypnotize people on stage.
Yeah.
All 3 of them have died.
All 3 of them are dead. Anytime we go we probably can't.
We need to stop seeing people at the Funny Bone.
Yeah.
We can't go to restaurants, and we can't go see comedians at the Funny Bone anymore.
Well, that's a much dire need problem.
I've seen the Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
Who was a local. I saw him in person, and he passed away also.
Yeah.
I'm some kind of curse to comedians.
Maybe.
I don't know. I've seen all 4 Impractical Jokers in person. They're still kicking.
Yeah, that's true. And you went with your mom and dad to go see Eric, right?
No.
Oh, you didn't go? That's probably why he's still here.
Oh, my God. You're funny.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. So we are going to end with a TikTok video of the week. We'll just keep doing that until we can't do it anymore. But we will be back next week.
Yep. And
Friday the 13th next
Friday
week.
the 13th.
So maybe we'll have a theme.
Yeah, my thought was that we could talk about movie killers, like who is our favorite movie killers. Which that's easy for me. It's probably not so easy for you, but
you love to talk about movies, and I am not a moviegoer, so I don't know. We'll have to come up with something.
Yeah,
we'll come up with something. All right, guys, have a great week, and we will see you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Random funny things I found on the internet. August already. September is practically next week. Time to pick out a Halloween costume and start your Christmas shopping. Happy New Year, everybody. Jalapenos chicken poopers, 8 for $2.99. I yelled, "Cow," at a woman on her bike. She gave me the finger. Then she plowed her bike straight into the cow. I tried. Your dad's nuts are here. I had a hen who could count her own eggs. She was a mathemachicken. Also, here's a picture of me when I was younger, holding a chicken. Ladies, can y'all marry a man that he make don't, but he is thought is important? Why, ladies? Them chicken case Adidas at Taco Bell be good ASF. Shoplifters will be prostituted. God gives his toughest battles to his silliest gooses. Hawaiian Punch is the driest juice in the world, and it tastes like pour a little bit. Live, fart, laugh. Suicidal deer, next 1 mile. Kentucky really needs these signs. However, when I'm driving, they tend to run the other way because they know better. I love a good dump. I learned a lot from my mistakes, so I decided to make more mistakes to learn more. Take your age and add 5 to it. That'll be your age in 5 years. People born in 2003 are 23 now. That's crazy. American girls are really like this. IRL. I'm not American. I'm Arizonian.